Jimmy Garoppolo. Plot twist. Plot twist. Plot twist. All caps. Jimmy Garoppolo re-signs with the San Francisco 49ers for the 2022 season. Wow. We've got a hell of a show in store. I've got an article up on The Athletic for you right now. I spent this afternoon working hard on this piece, so I hope you check it out. I wanted to really give you the behind the scenes details of what we know and how the 49ers thought process progressed over the course of the past several months, how we got from point A to point B, with point B being serious option power for the San Francisco 49ers. Jimmy Garoppolo on the roster alongside Trey Lance. The 53-man cutdown is tomorrow, and I'm going to go out on a limb and predict that Jimmy Garoppolo makes the 49ers team. So articles up there on the screen. Jimmy Garoppolo's return gives the 49ers strength and options at quarterback. If you want to read it and you want to subscribe to The Athletic, please do so right now. There has never been, since the Joe Steve era, Montana and Young back in the 80s and early 90s, there's never been more drama surrounding the San Francisco 49ers. And I think the 49ers think that this is positive drama. This is a positive step because they have made the quarterback position stronger. So go ahead, check out the chat section. The link to the article is there. You can click on that article in the chat section, and you could subscribe to The Athletic for $1 a month. We are going to blanket this just like we've blanketed it so far throughout this entire offseason, throughout the past several years. We are going to take this entire wild ride with you and document it in full detail. And as you can see, the article there that I wrote today is up on the screen. Jimmy Garoppolo's return gives the 49ers strength and options at quarterback. Oh boy. The details of the deal: $6.5 million fully guaranteed, $500,000 roster bonus, up to $10 million in playtime guarantees. So there's a whole lot to unpack here as far as the incentive structure, potential tradability moving down the road. I think the 49ers could potentially still trade Jimmy Garoppolo. Might even be easier from a numbers perspective, obviously, since he's no longer making $24.2 million on the base salary. But there is a no trade clause in this deal. So Jimmy has some power now. He can decide whether or not he wants to go to a place if the 49ers do reach an agreement with another team. Now, it should be fully emphasized that Trey Lance right now is still the 49ers QB1. In a weird full circle kind of way. I mean, I posted the Star Wars clip. The circle is now complete. You know, Darth Vader and Obi-Wan Kenobi. The script has completely flipped since last year. Last year, we had Jimmy Garoppolo, QB1, fielding incessant questions about what it's like to play with Trey Lance, a newly signed quarterback, in the room. Well, this season, you're about to have a bunch of questions to Trey Lance, QB1, having to answer for what it's like to play with newly signed Jimmy Garoppolo in the room. So boom, boom, you see the little flip there, and the circle is now indeed complete. But I think this story that still has a lot to be written, and a lot of what we talk about on this show today, maybe even if I answer some questions, it's going to be hypothetical stuff, right? All we know right now is the 49ers are going to cut down their roster tomorrow on Tuesday by 1 p.m. Pacific time. And we have a very good idea. In fact, we could say for certain that both Jimmy Garoppolo and Trey Lance will be on the 49ers 53-man roster. We also know that the 49ers named Trey Lance their starting quarterback at the start of training camp. It's been a bizarre scene at the 49ers facility. Jimmy Garoppolo throwing off on the side while Trey Lance and the rest of the 49ers offense is in full uniform working out just a few yards away. In fact, on one of the days of training camp, Jimmy Garoppolo was on the same field while warmups were happening, and he was throwing the football to himself. He was literally heaving the football up 30 yards into the air, or however high it went. It was a really nice throw, actually. He threw it straight up in the air, and he caught it. And I thought that was symbolic of the Jimmy Garoppolo situation. He had nobody to play with. The team was practicing, but he wasn't really part of it. He was part of it in name only and the roster only. But the 49ers were trying to trade him. But then when no trade materialized, and there are several reasons for that, starting with the shoulder surgery in this offseason, when no trade ultimately materialized, it became in Garoppolo's and especially in the 49ers' best interests to bring him back for 2022. Now, The big holdup here, in my opinion, I think, and I'm going to demonstrate some evidence over the course of this show. We're going to go back to what John Lynch said and Jed York said back in late March at the NFL owners meetings. I think that the 49ers were always okay and always thinking about this as one of their options. Remember, I always talk about plan A, plan B, plan C, plan D. This might have been plan E or plan F, but it was definitely one of the 49ers options to keep Jimmy Garoppolo for this 2022 season at a discount. The potential thorn in this plan, in my opinion, I think really clearly was Jimmy Garoppolo's desire to return to the 49ers, a team that he had quarterbacked to a Super Bowl and to an NFC championship game at a discount. It was Jimmy's choice and Jimmy's willingness. The 49ers would have embraced this a long time ago. I mean, what's there not to like about a quarterback who's really popular in the locker room, who's really popular with the new starter, with Trey Lance, the young quarterback, who mentored Trey last year? What's wrong with keeping him on the roster to be a really good backup if you can afford it? And the issue was that the 49ers couldn't afford it at Garoppolo's old salary. But if you could afford it, if he's only making $6.5 million plus $500,000 roster bonus, so if he's only making $7 million a year, if his cap hit is only about $9 million for this season versus the $26 million or $27 million that it was, why the hell not? Well, the reason why not was because Jimmy Garoppolo, it was very questionable at best, probably doubtful that for a long time that he would accept those terms. But as this process evolved, Jimmy Garoppolo obviously did accept those terms, and he just agreed to them with the 49ers today. Now, why did Jimmy agree to them? Well, he obviously has his sights set on free agency in 2023. The quarterback carousel this year, right? The musical chairs, he missed out on those. He had the surgery and he missed out on the quarterback musical chairs. I think this illustrates that Garoppolo having the surgery was kind of out of everybody's control. The 49ers might have been upset about it at the time because they wanted to see if they could try to trade him. But if the rehab wasn't taking, if it wasn't effectively delivering in that first month of the offseason, well, then he had to have surgery so he could pass the physical and be healthy. And when Garoppolo missed his chance to be traded to another team during that window where he couldn't throw, it came to August where there was no real trade activity, no real trade suitors for him. And because he had missed that window, I think that he recalibrated his expectations, recalibrated his plan, and saw that, wait, if I stay in a system that I'm, familiar with, I show that I'm a good teammate again, I will have another crack at this at the latest during free agency in 2023. Now, sooner something could happen, right? It is possible that a quarterback elsewhere still gets hurt and the 49ers get a trade offer for Jimmy Garoppolo. And then Jimmy and the 49ers, according to ESPN's Jeremy Fowler, actually have already discussed this. And they said that in a scenario like that, both parties will be willing to at least sit down and talk about the potential of Jimmy Garoppolo waiving his no trade clause. So there are so many different possibilities and permutations to this. And I think the one that people want to talk about the most to begin the whole discussion is the one surrounding Trey Lance. There's this, thought that Trey Lance, oh boy, he's going to be looking over his shoulder now. 49ers must not believe in Trey Lance. This is going to be tough. This is going to derail the young quarterback's confidence. And to that, I'll say this. This is an overarching summary, and we're going to delve deeper into it. But this is obviously one of the many important aspects of this whole discussion. If Trey Lance is negatively threatened by this, by the presence of having somebody that he's called Big Bro on the roster, then he isn't who the 49ers thought he was. The 49ers believe in Trey Lance, the person. They wouldn't have invested all of that draft capital, 3 first-round picks, to move up and draft Trey Lance, even though they had a quarterback who had taken him to the Super Bowl already on the roster. They wouldn't have done this. They wouldn't have moved heaven and earth to acquire Trey Lance if they didn't believe who he was right here, heart-wise and obviously mentally. They think that he's tremendously physically gifted. They think that he's moldable clay. But perhaps as important as both of these things is the fact they think that he has some steely resolve, that he has what it takes to play what is arguably the most difficult position in sports, and that's quarterback in the National Football League. It's not just about on-field performance. It's about tuning out noise. It's about focusing on the task at hand. And if the 49ers didn't believe that Trey Lance would be able to withstand a good backup quarterback on their roster, then again, he wouldn't be who they thought he was. So in a way, I feel that this move, you could look at this glass half empty or glass half full. If you're a glass half empty kind of person, you think that the 49ers don't believe in Trey Lance at all. And I don't think the data supports that at all. I think if you actually look at the numbers behind this contract, I mean, they're getting Jimmy Garoppolo at a backup rate. It's not like they're paying $26 million to keep Jimmy. They're paying on the cap probably $9 million this year. They're saving $17 million. I'll talk about that a little bit later. But the actual numbers and math and business machinations of all this don't suggest that the 49ers don't believe in Trey Lance. They suggest the 49ers are just trying to add a backup plan. So I would say that looking at this with a glass half empty approach just isn't correct in this situation, given the details and the facts that we do know. I think that this underscores the 49ers' belief in Trey Lance because they still have a tremendous amount invested in him. That hasn't changed. And if you have this investment on the field that hasn't really taken the reins during the regular season for an NFL team yet, I know he started in place of Garoppolo last year, but this Trey Lance experiment really hasn't even set sail yet. If you have that much invested in him, you wouldn't risk sullying that investment with a look over the shoulder kind of situation. You would only execute a move like this, knowing how much you had poured into Trey Lance, if you believed that he was in good position to withstand the move. Again, you could look at this negatively. You could look at this as something that threatens Trey Lance, or you could look at this as the 49ers becoming a better football team. And I think that it's very, very imperative to look at this from a holistic roster construction standpoint. People will often talk about, oh, the 49ers need more depth at running back. The 49ers need more depth at wide receiver. They need more depth on the O-line, D-line, strength in numbers, this, that. Why doesn't the quarterback position apply to that? The 49ers, Bill Walsh believed you needed as much depth at the quarterback position as was humanly possible. So he had both Montana and Young. The issue is that was before the salary cap. And quarterbacks are expensive. So now in the salary cap era, you don't often see a team have the financial wherewithal to be able to keep two of these guys. Garoppolo and Brady couldn't work after a while. But the big asterisk here is that Garoppolo took the pay cut. He took the pay cut instead of going for the release, which we thought that he wanted so he can make more money elsewhere. And he decided that he likes the guys enough in the locker room. He likes the 49ers culture enough that he's willing to play for less for the 49ers. And that is that. Garoppolo is now going to be part of the team. But I do not believe that somehow undermines Trey Lance. I believe that it makes the roster stronger. Now, you look at potential complications down the road. And if Trey Lance gets hurt, well, that's why you have Jimmy Garoppolo, so you can have a better quarterback if he gets hurt, so you don't have to go to a Nick Mullins or a CJ Beathard. Those were situations that derailed 49ers seasons in 2018 or 2020. And if Trey isn't playing well, and the 49ers defense is, and they're losing games because of the offense, and you have a better option in Jimmy Garoppolo, well, isn't the point to win a Super Bowl or try to compete for a Super Bowl? And yeah, maybe you make the switch during the course of the season. But we're nowhere near that point yet. I mean, Jimmy supposedly didn't even have a playbook here over the course of the past month. It's going to take him a while to get caught back up to speed. And I mean, the 49ers believe in Trey Lance a whole lot more than a lot of people on the internet believe in Trey Lance or think that the 49ers believe in Trey Lance. There's competition at every single position. There might be competition at this position for the 49ers. But at the end of the day, football is a meritocracy, and you move forward realizing that the 49ers have invested a ton in Trey Lance. They have big-time dreams for him, and they want to make sure that they have both their short-term and their long-term tracks covered. Short-term track, 2022 season, make sure you have a good backup. And you keep Jimmy Garoppolo in the building in case trade opportunities materialize. Maybe now that he's on that contract, the 49ers start getting offered trades tomorrow. Or on, and what is tomorrow? Tuesday? Or on Wednesday, Thursday. Maybe that starts pouring in for the 49ers. Who knows? Bottom line is that they have developed option power. And this is something that they've tried to do and tried to maintain and tried to foster ever since moving up to draft Trey Lance in 2021. They decided to keep Jimmy Garoppolo for that season. They had both Lance and Garoppolo sometimes alternating into the game on the same drive before Lance chipped his finger. A year ago today, on August 29th, 2021, by the way, is the day that Lance and Garoppolo were alternating in and out of the game for the first time against the Raiders, and that's when Lance chipped his finger. A year after that, the 49ers re-signed Garoppolo to keep him aboard for this 2022 season. But anyway, from that point, moving forward, the 49ers wanted the option power that they didn't have in the years prior at the quarterback position. And then they decided to try to maintain that option power moving into this 2022 offseason. And by that, they carried Jimmy Garoppolo as long as they possibly could carry him at his old contract while it didn't hurt them. It didn't prevent them from signing other free agents. They gave themselves a chance to trade him. When that chance didn't materialize, they're able to convince Jimmy Garoppolo to stay aboard on a restructured deal. And that pay cut has now ensured that the 49ers have more option power than ever before. Now they have a cheap quarterback, Jimmy Garoppolo, at a $9 million cap hit, and a QB on a rookie deal, Trey Lance, in his second year. That's some pretty good stuff from the 49ers. That's some pretty deft maneuvering, if I might say. The 49ers might have $20 million for in-season spending now. This gets a little bit more complicated from the financial dynamics. So let me sit down and explain this to you guys. I'm out of water. This was not very smart to have an empty water glass as I started this show, given how much talking there was going to be today. But one drop is better than no drops. Two competent QBs are better than one competent QB. So the 49ers have that going for them. And we'll talk about what this means for Brock Purdy and Nate Sudfeld in a little bit. But the 49ers cap savings through this move, we're not exactly sure when they're going to come yet, because here's how it works. You have $6.5 million fully guaranteed, $500K roster bonus, up to $10 million playtime guarantees. So the 49ers had Jimmy Garoppolo on the books for $26.9 million cap hit prior to this, right? But $24.2 million of that was base salary for 2022, and it wasn't guaranteed. So they had leverage here to at least talk Jimmy Garoppolo's price down. So basically what we see now is Garoppolo has more guaranteed money, but less total earnable money than he did before. And they've repurposed the flat $24.2 million non-guaranteed base salary into $6.5 million fully guaranteed, a $500,000 roster bonus, which he will earn tomorrow by making the 49ers 53-man roster, and then up to $10 million in playtime guarantees. Now, the big question mark is, when will the 49ers cap savings come? Well, it will depend on when those playtime guarantees hit the salary cap. We have two things. We have not likely to be earned and likely to be earned incentives. Likely to be earned incentives count against this season's salary cap. Typically, playtime incentives are based on how much playtime the player had the year before, and Garoppolo started almost all of the season, minus 2 games for the 49ers. So in a normal world, we would expect the playtime incentives, the $10 million, to be likely to be earned for Jimmy Garoppolo. But speaking to some cap experts, and I have to shout out to Jason Fitzgerald at Over the Cap, it does seem likely that the 49ers managed to somehow subvert the likely to be earned portion of the playtime incentives by adding a different clause and making those incentives not likely to be earned. What does that mean? Well, if they're not likely to be earned, they don't count against this year's cap, meaning that Garoppolo's cap hit this year will probably only be around $9 million. And that means that they have $20 million opened up now for in-season spending. It means the 49ers have effectively saved $17 million over what they owed at the start of the day against the cap. They've gone from $3 million in cap room to $20 million, and they now have the money they need in case they want to pick somebody up that's expensive at the trade deadline, which means they're all in on this 2022 season. This team is trying to win a Super Bowl. How do you do that? You do it by beefing the quarterback room up and by making sure that you have the financial flexibility to go after players during the course of the season. That's something I got to tweet. I'm going to tweet that in a little bit. It's a good thought. Got to tweet it. When will the 49ers pay the $10 million in incentives if Jimmy Garoppolo earns them? Well, if what I'm just saying is actually the case, and again, we were speculating because we don't know the details yet, if it is indeed a not likely to be earned $10 million, well, then the 49ers won't pay it until 2023 if Jimmy Garoppolo earns it. You pay it as a deferred charge on the salary cap. So either way, they get cap relief now. They have extra option power at quarterback. And I believe the biggest concern for people is this underscores their belief in Trey Lance. Because I don't think you do this if you think that Trey Lance is going to be emotionally unhappy about this, fickle about this, if he's going to crumple. You got way too much invested in Trey Lance to have a $7 million quarterback ruin his career, right? It is a meritocracy, though. And I do understand the argument that, okay, yeah, maybe there'll be some discomfort if Trey Lance throws 3 interceptions, if the 49ers lose a couple games. And to that, I say, okay, great. There's discomfort anywhere in the NFL and any job if you underperform, right? If you're underperforming, there's going to be discomfort. And that's something that Trey Lance is going to have to learn to fight through. Jimmy Garoppolo had to fight through it last year. It goes both ways. It's not just your favorite quarterback gets to, be insulated in bubble wrap and nothing happens to him. And it goes back, it goes both ways. And this whole mentality and this whole history is very rooted in 49ers history. Steve Young came in after Joe Montana and won a couple Super Bowls, and Bill Walsh tortured those guys. Bill Walsh played both of them. I don't think he has that in mind for Garoppolo and Lance. I don't think he's going to be not Walsh, Shanahan. I don't think Shanahan's going to be playing 2 games one, 2 games the other. I think he really wants Garoppolo to be the backup. It's, the spots have flipped. It's kind of like late in Joe's career there. Steve Young took over as a starter, but Joe had been hurt, right? And then Steve took over as starter, but they were both healthy there toward the end. But there was no flip-flopping going on anymore because George Seifert had taken over as the head coach by then. But Steve Young will still tell you to this day that, Bill Walsh tortured them, that this was, not something that was comfortable for both parties in the room. And, it's hard to argue with the results. It's hard to argue with the fact that both Joe Montana and Steve Young ended up as Hall of Famers. But it is important to acknowledge that it wasn't the easiest situation at the time for the players and the personalities involved. Now, that is not to say that this Garoppolo-Lance situation will somehow be as combustible as that one was. That never really combusted. But that's not to say that this situation is going to create resentment and go down a very similar path as that one. This situation might be different, and I think the 49ers were buoyed in their confidence to proceed in this way because Trey and Jimmy got along so well last year. If they got along really well last year and it was mutually beneficial for both of them, it was more of a Trey and Jimmy thing, not a Trey or Jimmy thing. Well, the 49ers think that the personalities can get along again this season. And it's going to be mighty interesting now as this season starts to see exactly how those dynamics work. But I do think that the 49ers have a team, it's a team of alphas, right? And football is a sport of alphas. You have to maintain a competitive fire in the building. And you have to also have leaders that are restrained and disciplined enough to know the difference between unbridled competitive fire and competitive fire that is channeled in the right direction to make the organization move forward as streamlined and as efficiently as possible. And that's the balance the 49ers will try to strike with Trey Lance and Jimmy Garoppolo. Okay, so I'm going to share this article one more time. And we're going to take a look at the 49ers roster ahead of the 53-man cutdown. So go ahead and check out the comment section. And you guys can check this article. And that is the link to The Athletic, $1 a month. Jimmy Garoppolo's return gives the 49ers strength and options at quarterback. I will now open up our 90-man roster for the 49ers. So give me 1 second. Let's open this sucker up. And we'll go from there. All right. 49ers 53-man roster. I've already made some of the updates. There it is. And let's make a new title here for people just joining. 49ers 53-man roster impact. All right, let's check it out. If those of you want to check out the roster, I'm copying and pasting this. This is like a depth chart / roster. Remember, they're making cuts tomorrow. And I took a quick peek at the comment section. And I see that we've got a lot of people talking. And I don't know if I'm going to wade any further into that right now. Yeah, Jimmy. Okay, Roberto Campos. Yes, Garoppolo has a no trade clause, but Jeremy Fowler reported that there may be some flexibility with that. He may be willing to sit down and discuss with the 49ers if an offer does come in. All right, impact on the 49ers 53-man roster. We have long predicted that they would probably carry 2 quarterbacks tomorrow. The assumption had been that it'd be Trey Lance and Nate Sudfeld. Well, now it's going to be Trey Lance and Jimmy Garoppolo. QB1, QB2, Trey Lance and Jimmy right here. And now it's really a battle for QB3 between Brock Purdy and Nate Sudfeld. So who's it going to be, Purdy or Sudfeld? I would tend to think that they're going to go with the younger guy if everything else remains equal. I think Purdy probably has some more upside, but Sudfeld has that $2 million guaranteed, which just goes to show you the 49ers, we're not planning to re-sign Jimmy Garoppolo this offseason, but you adapt as time moves along and as different challenges present themselves. So I think that you're going to see Sudfeld on the outside looking in. Purdy waived, probably signed back to the practice squad, and then Trey Lance and Jimmy Garoppolo as QBs 1 and 2. The 49ers today made a couple of moves. They waived Donovan West and they released Ken Crawley, the cornerback. So they're currently at 77 80-man spots taken. They're going to have to cut 24 guys tomorrow to get under the 53-man limit. But this shouldn't change the numbers too much. The Garoppolo move outside the quarterback position, assuming that Purdy goes practice squad and Nate Sudfeld doesn't make it through, it is released. All right. Do I wade into the comments section or not? Well, I do want to read a couple of the quotes, actually. Give me a couple seconds here. This is going to be one of those shows where I work during the show. To open this up, maybe put this on Twitter. Jimmy Garoppolo's we have Jimmy Garoppolo's final goodbye video to 49ers fans. This is kind of funny. Why don't we play this right now? This is going to be interesting, to say the least. I'm going to put this big up on the screen for you guys. Just give me 1 second. All right.
I'll miss you guys. So, and yeah, I'll miss you.
That was Jimmy talking. I just haven't put it up on the screen yet. Having a little bit of, all right. I'm struggling right now, guys. All right, here we go. There. All right, this was in February 1st.
And yeah, I'll miss you guys. So thank you guys again. Faithful, thank you very much for everything. It's been crazy, man. Just all the comebacks at Levi's, comebacks on the road, ups and downs. It's been a hell of a ride, guys. I love you guys. So see ya.
That's Jimmy Garoppolo saying goodbye on February 1st. Saying that he's going to miss the media and he loves the fans. Well, fast forward from February 1st to August 29th, and that message seems a little bit outdated. And that's funny. I got to tweet that out. This is amazing. Just looking back on this. I mean, what a bizarre twist and just the whole story. I mean, Jimmy Garoppolo's never been one short on the drama, that's for sure. There's been a lot of drama on the field, and now you see with this. Jimmy Garoppolo. It's been a hell of a ride, Jimmy Garoppolo said on February 1st. And it turns out that ride is not over. Just wow. All right, tweeted it out. I want to read you a couple quotes. That's what I promised I would do. Open this up. This is from Lynch and Jed York. Put these up on the screen for you. Make it big. All right. This is John Lynch at the owners' meetings in late March. So this is about 2 months after Jimmy Garoppolo spoke in that video that I just put up there. To be completely forthright, though, when you make a trade of that magnitude for Trey Lance, most of our options did not include Jimmy on our books on our team for 2022, John Lynch said. This came after the 49ers were unable to trade Jimmy Garoppolo during the first wave of free agency. And then Lynch continued, but you always have to adapt, and a series of events happen that a trade didn't work out. But that's not a bad thing, though. We feel positive with it, and we'll make it work. Wow, boy, what a prescient quote, right, from John Lynch. You always have to adapt, and a series of events happen that a trade didn't work out. But that's not a bad thing, though. We feel positive with it, and we'll make it work. He said that in late March. Now we're sitting here in late August, so 5 months later, and it all comes full circle. 49ers owner Jed York at about the same time said, if we think it's the best decision to have two guys that we think are very, very capable of winning football games and giving us a chance to win the Super Bowl, there's no position it's more important than that in all of sports. So if we're going to overinvest in something, I'd rather overinvest in the quarterback position than anything else. If you're going to overinvest in something, you'd rather overinvest in the quarterback position than anything else. Well, first of all, Jed York said that when Garoppolo was still slated to have a $27 million cap hit. Now the cap hit's probably going to be $9 million. They're going to save $17 million if he doesn't become the starter again, but they're still going to save at least $10 million no matter what. So now, you talk about overinvesting and having two quarterbacks. Well, they were, according to Jed York, they were willing to overinvest at $27 million. I didn't really believe that at the time, but they're definitely willing to invest if it's not an overinvestment, right? It's a much smaller investment at this point in Jimmy Garoppolo because he took the pay cut. So those two quotes from late March from John Lynch and Jed York on Jimmy Garoppolo, just wow in retrospect. And then obviously when you read and when you look at the Jimmy Garoppolo video of his goodbye in February, just wow, wow, wow in retrospect. Here's the article. It's up on The Athletic. Jimmy Garoppolo's return gives the 49ers strength and options at quarterback. Yep, Jimmy is literally a backup now, but you need a backup. The 49ers know this better than anybody. 2018 and 2020 went downhill because they didn't have a backup, so a capable backup. So this all ended up working out for the 49ers, and now we'll see how it plays out in the 2022 season. Again, a trade still technically on the table. Backup duty still technically, actually, literally on the table. Starting games on the table. Trey Lance can get hurt. Lance got hurt twice last year. The interior line, the whole line has looked shoddy for the 49ers in the preseason. You maintain your option power. That's what this is really about for the 49ers. You maintain option power. They've done it throughout every course of the process. I always talk about business 101. This is business 101. The 49ers executed it. They are keeping the pathways open. And by keeping the pathways open, they make their decision tree that much potentially stronger. You can get emotional over this, but the 49ers are treating this like a business. And they're treating their options like a business. And that's what they should do. We need to stop this whole Trey or Jimmy because it's throughout now 2 years, 2 seasons going now. It's been Trey and Jimmy for the 49ers. They're thinking in terms of both quarterbacks. That's how Shanahan and Lynch are approaching this. There might be competition. There might be a little bit of strife if stuff starts to go a little sideways this season. But the overarching mentality for the 49ers has been Trey and Jimmy, not Trey or Jimmy. And that's what I've been saying now for nearly 2 years. And hopefully it's starting to come through clear as far as the 49ers approach this whole situation. Going back up to some of my other banners, subscribe to The Athletic. Yeah, welcome to our 2022 49ers coverage. That's pretty wild. And like this video, subscribe to the channel. I'm on Twitter at Lombardi himself to handle all the plot twists for you guys. Plot twist, Jimmy re-signs with the 49ers. Here are the terms. Articles up on the screen. Make sure to check that out. Also, I think I put it in the little description of this video. Anyway, I don't know if this is a good Q&A video. I know I put one up there, but God, it's blowing up in there. Thank you, Jason. You're a longtime viewer, so I respect that. Really respect that. Thanks for putting that up there. Again, I haven't decided this is going to be a Q&A yet, but I do recognize some faces in that chat section. Lance does need to get rid of the ball quicker, especially in the NFL behind this offensive line. Jimmy, they have complementary skill sets, and I wrote about this so much last year. I mean, this is I want to see if I could find this for you guys. Put this up on the screen. Oops. Here, let's see. '49ers, 2 quarterbacks. I'm going to find a cool little chart that I had from last year. It's tough to Google your own articles. I wish I had this one a little bit earlier. We have this article about the 49ers 2 QB system that they tried to implement at the start of last year. Maybe I could put that one up on the screen for you guys. I mean, there's so much. I mean, there's so many different ways that you could splice this and speculate. That's why it's so open-ended at this point. But that's why I use option power to summarize things. All right, so this is what we wrote last year. I think it came out, September 9th, 2021, before week 1. Jimmy Garoppolo and Trey Lance, the 49ers have a long history of 2 quarterback systems. I'm not saying they're going to run a 2 quarterback system this year. They thought about running one last year, then Trey chipped his finger. But boy, just the twists and turns of this saga have just been spectacular to behold. I had another piece, I swear. I can't find it right now. I wrote before week 18 last year. And I really, really want to put it up there because I have a cool little chart that I included in that piece. So let's see if this will pop up. And I wrote it at some point, I think in January or December of last year. And it's unfortunately not popping up there. But a year ago today was this. Look at this one. This is good. 49ers, Jimmy Garoppolo, Trey Lance, dissect Raiders with 2 QB system. A year ago today. You can't make this kind of stuff up. Literally, it's the year anniversary of this. The 1 year anniversary. Jimmy Garoppolo and Trey Lance dissect the Raiders with 2 quarterback system. And now they're both going to be back for at least the start of 2022. Roster cut down day tomorrow for the 49ers. We saw that impact of that when I put up the spreadsheet. Go ahead and check that out. But it's about option power for the 49ers. It really is. All right, there's going to be more. I'm going to have more thoughts about this. I'll subdivide the thoughts in a little bit. So everybody, thank you for watching. Let's take a deep breath. Let's read the article. Why don't you go up and check out the piece that I put up today? This one right here. Jimmy Garoppolo's return gives the 49ers strength and options at quarterback. Make sure that you subscribe to The Athletic because that's where I get into the really in-depth stuff. There's fascinating quotes over the course of the past year, financial analysis of how this is going to work. And just make sure that you're following along because we got a lot of good stuff. And this is obviously going to be one hell of an entertaining ride. It already is for the 49ers entering 2022. We've already had the Deebo Samuel stuff. We've already had, the crazy roller coaster offseason, at least for those of us covering the team. And now we have this whole Jimmy Garoppolo development. And guess what? We only have 12, 13 days until the start of the regular season. So sub to The Athletic, check out the article up there on the screen and like and sub to this channel and to this video, of course. Everybody take care. Thank you for joining and we'll see you all soon.